I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha-Rika Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abababal. This is Habakkuk 2 verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Which it was prophesied eventually that these scriptures would be written in book form, which is a prophecy that came to pass in 2 Ezra 15 and verse 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which they were written in the ancient world, but they're relevant today because they're being fulfilled. The prophecies are being fulfilled. I will put in thy mouth, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Now it tells you that in Daniel, knowledge would increase, and now we got the phone and tablet, which we're able to use the Bible app. It says in Daniel 12 verse 4, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased, which we have technology. And once again, we got the Bible app. All right. And the Lord wanted it made plain upon tables, that whoever readeth it may run with it and go out and teach it. Talking about the Israelites. It says in verse 3, for the vision is yet at an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, which you're seeing it come to be true in this generation. Though it tarry, which is not all the way fulfilled, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, which now that it started, like birth pains, it's going to increase. The uproars of the people, the earthquakes, famine, death, and then eventually destruction. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up, the proud, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, which is really dealing with these Edomites that teach lies. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He's in everybody's land. Let me show you. Look, this is a map of all the U.S. military bases around the world. You understand? This dude's in everybody's business. All right? In fact, I'm going to download that for the photo I put on the, when you see when you're looking through YouTube. It says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. And how did he get these places? By the sword. And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations. And that's why they're going against Iran now. They want all nations under their control, which really, Iran is part of the UN. All right. See, yes, the Islamic Republic of Iran is a member of the United Nations. It was one of the original 50 founding members when the UN was established in 1945. Let's see who are the original 50 founding members in 1945. Here is a list of the original founding members: Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Bolivia, Brazil, Belarus. It says Soviet Socialist Republic. Let's see how it's read. Byelorussian, Byelorussian Soviet Socialist Republic. It says Canada, Chile, China, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Egypt, El Salvador, Ethiopia, France, Greece, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, India, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Luxembourg, Mexico, Netherlands, New Zealand, Nicaragua, Norway, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, Poland, Saudi Arabia, Syrian Arab Republic, Turkey, Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, Ukraine, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, the Russians, United Kingdom, United States, Uruguay, Venezuela, let's see. Yugoslavia. All right. So as you can see, the United States and Iran are part of the UN. All right. Which really the United States controls the UN, being that the UN is in New York. All right. They meet in the New York. China is with the UN. All right. So you see these nations, but then you see them doing war games, which they say there's war, but it says there's a report of war, rumor of war, which they report war, but you don't know if it's true. It says in Matthew 24, which they said the small hats hit a nuclear military base, and they had a very small reaction to that. So I believe it's propaganda, but it's to move us into the next stage of this new world order, which they're going to make it mandatory for the world to have a implantable microchip, the mark of the beast, and they're making it mandatory for buying and selling worldwide. It says in Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, reports of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, because they have not made the implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling worldwide. It says, for nation shall rise against nation. So you're going to have race wars, nationality against nationality, and kingdom against kingdom, world war. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Let's look that up real quick. It says in 2025 there have been 6,437 earthquakes total, with the following breakdown: with 47 with a magnitude of 6.0 to 6.9. All right. So let's go to earthquake. And look at this map of earthquakes, right? All over the world in diverse places. See? And it's nothing hard to look up. You just got to look it up. All right. But the Lord sent us to do it for you and to show you with His word, showing you that it's the end of this place, the end of the kingdom of Edom. Remember, He has military bases all over the world like this, you know? So there's earthquakes all over. And there's over 6,000 earthquakes since the beginning of 2025. So now let's go back to Habakkuk 2. And 5. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, which he teaches false doctrines, the so-called white race. He is a proud man, and they teach that they're the image of God, which is a goddamn lie. Neither keepeth at home, which I showed you his military bases, who enlargeth his desire as hell, which he'll go into your land and destroy it. Say, I'm impoverished, and then I will rebuild the desolate places. Malachi chapter 1. This is the way of Edom. And is as death, right? Because when he comes in, he's going to destroy everything. Look at what they're doing over there in Gaza. Look what they're doing in Ukraine. You know, that's what they do. They destroy. All right. It says, and cannot be satisfied, right? They got the whole world. I just showed you the military bases. This is the map of the earthquakes. See, they have bases all over the world. They pretty much rule the world, right? They pretty much rule the world, all right? They have military bases all over the world. See, it says the dollar is the official currency of 5 U.S. territories, along with 11 foreign countries, territories, and municipalities. Municipalities. Let me see how you say this word. Municipalities around the world. See, around the world. I want to see what comes up with the image. See, the dollar is really used everywhere because it's the petrodollar. All right. All right. Which the petrodollar is, they have to use the US dollar to buy oil. All right. And look, even the BRIC nations have to still trade with the dollar to get oil. All right. So really, the whole world is controlled by this dollar. All right. In fact, you try to get rid of this dollar, the American soldiers will invade you and destroy you. Look at Saddam Hussein. Look at Gaddafi. And what did Hillary Clinton say? We came, we saw, and we destroyed. Right? He's dead. So this shows you that the so-called white man rules the world. They are the wicked the Bible speaks of. And they're not white, they're red. They're the red devil the Bible speaks of. All right? And it says in Habakkuk 2, we're in 5, and it says, see, and cannot be satisfied. This devil cannot be satisfied. He has military all over the world. He has the money, his face being used, right? He pretty much controls the whole world, whether it's by the sword or by the dollar, even the food. Remember, they control everything, right? Who's causing the famine in Yemen? It's the Edomite, the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of. All right, it says, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, which this is why you have in America a melting pot. And Edom is a part of these confederacies. All right, but two things are happening. It says in Obadiah 1 verse, I believe it's 6. No, 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. So all the men, all the other countries that are confederate with you are betraying you. All right, and they're going to cleave to the BRICS nations. Even NATO nations are going to cleave to Russia, and they're going to shoot missiles upon America. All right, even Iran. Iran is an ally of Russia, so they're going to be, funded given nuclear power. China, Russia. Who did they buy missile fuel from before this attack from Israel? Iran was buying missile fuel from China. So China and Russia are going to fund them, right? And America supports Israel. So that, just like Vietnam, who was funding North Vietnam was China and Russia. And who was going with the other team, which were the same people, Vietnamese? It was Americans. See? So this is what's happening right now, just like in Ukraine. Who's supporting Ukraine? America. Who's going against Ukraine? Russia. And they found even Chinese fighting in there. So once again, it's a war games that they're playing, but it's going to become real. All right? And there's going to be a real World War III, and America is going to lose it and be destroyed. Okay? Now it says in verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? And that thick clay is debt. All right? Thick clay. Let me see this one. To T or Ta. Tet. So Ta. So it's Abba Ta Ya Ta. And it's not Tha, it's Ta. So it says weight of pledges, heavy debts. Weight of pledges and heavy debts. So those are the two things that are happening that are causing the allies of this place to turn against you and go with your enemy. Your pledges that you've lied and broken, and the debts that you owe, which America, which I haven't looked at this for a while, but look, it's they got what, ones, tens, thousands, hundreds. Let's see, millions. Trillions, 36 trillion, 973 billion, 154 million, and everything else keeps changing because they're spending nonstop. Look at the Doji clock, and they've only saved per taxpayer $4,000. Who gives a fuck, right? Because it's all lies. It's all lies. Even this number is a lie. It's a lot higher than this. It's in the hundreds of trillions. All right? It's all a lie. Okay? And then look, they put the debt on who? The citizen and taxpayer. Debt per citizen, which this means if you're born a U.S. citizen, as soon as you're born, you owe $107,919 from birth as a citizen. Now, if you grow up to go to work, right, As a taxpayer, now you owe $323,051 because the politicians spend this money and they put it upon you. See? All this money is given to these politicians to spend, and the debt is on you. So just like that, the nuclear destruction is upon these citizens, even though the politicians are the ones that walk you into that destruction. And it's all being done by Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai through men, right? The Lord plays this out through men. You got the left hand and the right hand. It says in verse 7, shall they not, right? It says in Habakkuk 2:7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that covereth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. So that's what's happening right now, right? America thinks it's better than every nation. America will never suffer war like these other nations. We'll never, that's the pride of this place. But you're going to suffer everything and at an extreme, because the whole world is going to be against you. All right. It says that in, let me go back to it. Habakkuk 2 and verse, let me see. I'll go on the other app so I don't lose my spell. But it tells you in Isaiah 14 and verse 6, it says, he who smote the people in wrath, which is that so-called white race, with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. Right? You see them dropping bombs on places, which they rule the world in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth. It says in verse 9, how from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So America has become like a communist country. They're about to have a communist military parade in the streets of America, right? Military marching. They're going to show off their technology, their weapons of war, right? So they're weak like these other nations, all right? The protests, right? You didn't see those in America. You seen those in other countries, right? Which America was causing it. It's called coups. I believe it's Quo. Nope, I was wrong. It's COUP. What is a coup? COUP. It says a sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government. And that's what's happening in America right now. It says a notable or successful stroke or move, right, which they put their soldiers out. It says historical among some North American Indian peoples, an act of touching an armed enemy in battle as a deed of bravery. This is where they got the idea of it. Or an act of first touching an item of the enemy's in order to claim it. A contusion, caused by contact of the brain with the skull at the point of trauma. So violent blow. It's a violent blow. And that's what we're seeing happen in 2025, a violent blow to the world. All right? And it's against America and the land of Israel. It says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. So before all this, you saw all this corruption coming out about America, about the singers, about the Hollywood, about the politicians. Look, Trump was with Epstein. Trump is a felon with almost 40 felonies, convicted felon. So it shows you that all this corruption is being exposed, and their shame, they're covered in shame, the so-called white men, right? They're the wicked. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, which eventually it's going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Which it tells you in Obadiah, and verse 3, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, you got the great sail of America, and you got, the history of them saying that they touched the moon when they said the eagle landed. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. So the Lord is doing this to you so-called Caucasians, and eventually he's going to give you to us as slaves, you heathen, starting with the so-called Caucasian Edom. All right? They're going to go into slavery under the Israelite. It says in Habakkuk 2, verse 8, it says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, and who has a nest? The eagle. So it's talking about Edom. That he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timbers shall answer it. So everything is against you, right? Everyone's calling you the devil, and eventually you're going to have to answer for it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity, which this is the MO of Edom, the so-called white race. They'll go in and murder. Look at Gaza, and now they're talking about building a tourist attraction there, right? So this is them. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. Let's go ahead and get that in the NLT. Just curious. It says, what sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption. Let me read that again. What sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption. And really, America is going to suffer a nuclear destruction that has never been witnessed on Earth ever before. America is going to be hit with 200 million nuclear missiles. There's 300 plus, that live here, million people. And so there's a small remnant that's going to be saved that are Israelites. 2/3 are going to be left here to die. 1/3 is going to be saved. But Edom as a nation, all right, they're going to suffer great destruction, and their kingdom is going to be turned into a lake of fire. America is going to suffer nuclear destruction. And everyone's going to shoot nuclear missiles on this place, whether it's their allies or enemies. But with that, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kudash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba.